So basically, what is sorting? Okay. So sorting in simple words means you are going to put the data in some fashion, okay, in some increasing or decreasing order. So depending on the relationship between the data. So you could put in ascending order or descending order. So you are going to put them in some kind of order, just like you can see your roll numbers. Okay, they start from roll number 1 and go on till the last roll number, which is 65. Okay, they are going in ascending order. So some relationship between the data, based on that the data is put in some order. Okay, then there are different types of sorting algorithms based on this definition, like bubble sort, selection sort, insertion sort, shell sort, merge sort, quick sort, radix sort, and so on. Okay. Most of the techniques that I mentioned here are based on the technique mentioned in your syllabus. Okay, all the sorting algorithms. I have not mentioned. There are many more sorting algorithms, and new ones are continuously discovered. Okay, based on the type of data or the computational power is increasing. So based on all that, cloud computing nowadays. Okay, based on all those different areas of computing, as the our knowledge increases, the sorting techniques also increase. Okay, so these are the most common ones that are being studied always by students. Okay, so we will study some of these techniques. So before we look at the actual sorting methods, just look at some concepts in sorting. Okay, so the next concept that we require to know is what is known as sort stability. So suppose you are having a sequence of data, okay, like you can see here. Okay, and in this data you can see there's 35, 33, 42, 10, 14, 19, 26, 44, 26, and 31. You can see here that 26 is repeated twice. This is 126 that are highlighted in blue and 126 that is in pink. So after sorting, suppose I'm sorting this data in ascending order. Ascending order means the smallest number comes first and the largest number comes at the end. So obviously, since I'm having two 26, both the 26 will come one after another. Okay. So after sorting, like you can see here, in that before sorting data in that array, blue 26, the background blue 26 was before the pink 26. So after sorting also, if the blue 26 is before the pink 26, then we call it as, that sorting method will be known as table sorting method. But suppose the same data we sort, we get the output. Okay, it's the same output. Now you can check here, this output here and this output here is the same. Okay, but your blue 26 has come after the pink 26, although the numbers are same. Okay, although the numbers are same, this is just for example for you to understand. Okay, so the blue 26 has come after the pink 26. So such a algorithm will be known as an example of unstable sorting. So it changes the sequence of similar content. Okay, so if it does not change the sequence of similar content, then it is known as stable sorting. If it changes the sequence of similar content, it is known as unstable sorting. Okay, so sometimes they ask you to write a short note on sort stability. You need to take a simple example like this. Make sure you're having at least two numbers which are same. Okay, all the other numbers could be unique numbers, and then you sort and show what is stable and what is unstable sorting. Okay, then the next concept that you need to understand is what is known as in place sorting. Okay, now in place sorting means the sorting algorithms do not require extra space. Okay, which do not require extra space, then those algorithms are known as doing the sorting in place. For example, you are told to sort one array. Okay, and using just that array, the algorithm, without needing additional arrays, okay, or additional storage, the algorithm is able to do the sorting, and that kind of algorithm is known as in place sorting. Okay, but suppose the algorithms require more space compared, suppose you're given an array and the algorithm requires more space to do the sorting, additional arrays or additional storage, okay, then that kind of algorithm will be known as not in place sorting. Okay. Next concept that you need to know is adaptive and non-adaptive sorting algorithm. So sorting algorithm is adaptive if it is taking advantage of the already sorted elements in the list. Okay. So for example, you can see here, say you have been told to sort. Okay, you can see here in this 10, 14, 19 are already in the proper order. Okay, 10, 14, 19. So suppose that algorithm, the sorting algorithm is taking advantage of this fact that these numbers are already in sorted order. Okay, then that kind of algorithm will be known as adaptive sorting algorithm. Okay, but a non-adaptive is the opposite of the adaptive. So it does not take into account the elements which are already sorted. Okay, so they will take each and every element and they will try to sort them or reorder them. Okay. Then, when you are asked to compare the sorting algorithms, you need to, how will you compare them? Okay, which one is good, which one is bad? We always need to know that. Okay, so we do that based on the efficiency. Okay, so there is two types of efficiencies normally we try to measure. Okay, so one is known as like on time efficiency. Okay, you will learn this in detail in another subject, but I'm just telling you a small thing of that subject. Okay, so the sorting is based, the efficiency is based on two things: time efficiency and space efficiency. Okay, time efficiency means there are three cases. Okay, best case, worst case, and average case. So the best case is like the ideal. Okay, I will give you an example later on for what at least in case of searching algorithms. I'll give you an example to understand how this can be done. Okay, right now you just need to know that in sorting algorithms it can be done. The efficiency can be measured based on time. Okay, so and on space. So based on that, then we get some logarithmic values like this. Okay, so this is known as O notation. Okay, this O notation, and then n log n. So this is calculated based on that. So based on this, each algorithm is having some specific value. Okay, so for now you can search this efficiency, these different values from the internet for all the algorithms that you're going to study. Okay, because they sometimes ask, all these measures are mentioned in your textbook also. Okay, but we are not going to look at them into detail because you will learn it in a different subject in a higher semester. Okay, I think next semester you're going to learn that. So the second criteria for judging the algorithms is the space requirement. Okay, so whether they require additional arrays or within that array only and using some few variables, the sorting can be done. So based on that, okay, the space requirement. So time and space requirements are used for deciding which algorithm is the best in sorting. Okay. So, okay, I'm having here example of the different sorting algorithms. Okay, so you can see here the time complexity. The for each case, the time complexity is different: best, average, and worst. Similarly, the space complexity also. Okay, using the data structure array. So sometimes they ask you these tables. Okay, so if it's possible for you to study, it's better to study. Okay, especially in your placement types and all, they ask you this the efficiency of the sorting algorithm, which is best, and you cannot simply guess and tell which is the best. You have to look at the table and tell which is the best. Okay, so this was just a brief introduction to the concepts that we require in sorting. Okay, not exactly now what we are going to do next, we don't require that, but those questions come. Okay, what is sort efficiency? Write a short note on sort efficiency. What is sort stability? Explain with an example. You need to write that. Okay, so now let's start learning what is sorting. So like I told you, sorting means we are going to arrange the data in some increasing or decreasing order. Okay, so let's learn the first algorithm that is very popular. Maybe you have already studied it, but if not, we are going to study it now. So that algorithm is known as bubble sort. Okay. So for sorting, we are going to always consider that we are going to have the data in a array, some array. So obviously with each sorting algorithm, we are going to have some code. So I just want to show you some code that I picked up from the internet. Okay, to show you the working of this algorithm. You can also refer to your textbook for the code. Okay, so here you can see an example of this sorting algorithm. The sorting algorithm is known as bubble sort. Okay, so you can see here, this is how something like it would have looked like. Suppose you were doing the coding. Okay, two loops would have been used. So this loop here would be known as the outer loop, the one I just highlighted. This loop would have been known as the outer loop. Okay, it's a for loop. This loop here that I made red would have been known as the inner loop. Okay, so you are having the outer loop and the inner loop. So basically you are having nested for loops. Okay, one loop inside the another, the nested for loop. Okay, so this is the outer for loop, this is the inner for loop. Based on the condition, we are checking the two array elements. Okay, and if it's one array element is greater than the other array element, we swap them. Okay, so we swap them to order them. So the swap, this is the swap function. Okay, pass by reference, and we swap the elements. Okay, so this is just for you to understand this, how this will work. Okay, so what you need to remember here is why I'm showing you the code, that you are having a nested for loops. Okay, so this outer for loop, this is known as the outer for loop, and this one will be known as the inner for loop. So this is the outer iteration and this is the inner iteration. Okay, so I hope you know how the nested for loops work, because I'm going to trace and show you how the sorting takes place using the bubble sort. Okay, so let's look at the data. So this is the data. We are having 5 elements and we want to sort it in ascending order. Say, so this is the output that I expect. Okay, ascending order. At the end, the array should look something like this. So we start using the for loops. Okay, the for loop, this for loop, outer for loop. So that is the outer iteration. Okay, so what we do is, for each outer iteration, okay, we are going to have 4 outer iterations. Okay, n minus 1. So there are 5 elements. We are going to have 4. We are going to have 4 outer iterations, like you can see here. Okay, so 4 outer iteration. Similarly, we are going to have 4 inner iterations. Okay, 4 inner iterations. So 4 outer and 4 inner. So when we start with the first iteration, which is outer iteration, we are going to have 4 inner iterations. Okay, then we will go to second outer iteration and so on. Okay, so let's start. So we start, bubble sort starts by comparing the first 2 elements. Okay, we compare 14 with 33. And I want to sort this data in ascending order. Ascending means smaller should be first and bigger should be at the end. Okay, so when I compare this 14 and 33, this is the first value 14, second value is 33. When I compare the first value with the second value, 14 is already less than 33. Okay, so no change is made. So I go to the next inner loop iteration. I compare 33 with 27. Okay, so since 27 is less than 33, I swap. So I swap 27 with 33. Okay, then I go and compare next 2 elements. So 33 and 35. Then the third inner loop iteration, I compare 33 with 35. 33 is already less than 35, so no change. I go to the next iteration. Now I compare 35 with 10. When I compare 35 with 10, 10 is less than 35, so I swap them. Okay, I get, finally, after the end of the first iteration of the outer loop, your array looks something like this. You get 14, 27, 33, 10, 35. Okay. So this is just the one iteration of the outer loop. Okay. So in the next iteration, again, now I start with the second iteration of the outer loop. So second iteration of this loop. Okay. Within that, again, there will be 4 inner iterations. So you take the output of the first outer loop iteration, whatever you have got output. Okay. And again, you start with the process. Compare the first two numbers. The first number is less than the second number, swap. Here, first number is already less than second number, no need to swap. Now compare the second number and the third number in the second iteration. Okay. Again, it is correct, no need to swap. In the third iteration, compare the third number and the fourth. 10 is less than 33, so therefore swap. Okay. Only the swap takes place between those two numbers. Okay. Remaining numbers you need to write as it is. The fourth iteration, you compare 33 with 35. Again, it is in order, no need to swap. Okay. So at the end of the two iterations, whatever you have got here in the output in this step, that will be the output of your second iteration. Okay. This output will be the input for the third iteration. You go to the third outer loop iteration. Okay. So whatever is the output here, you start comparing. Okay. First two numbers you compare. Yeah, proper. 14 is less than 27. So go to the second loop, inner loop. 27 is greater than 10. So swap. So you will swap with 27. So 10 comes before 27. Go for the third. So you will compare now 27, the third number and the fourth number. 27 is less than 33. So no change. Go to the fourth one. Compare the fourth and the fifth number. Okay. Again, there is no change because 33 is less than 35. So at the end of 3 iterations, your data looks like this. Okay. You can see nothing is it sorted? No, not yet sorted. Okay. So go to the next iteration. You compare the first two numbers, 14 with 10. So 10 is less than 14. So therefore you swap. Okay. So you're swapping 14 and 10 and you get in this order. The second inner loop, compare the second number with the third number. 14 is less than 27, no change. Third inner loop, compare 27 with 33. 27 already less than 33, no change. In the fourth inner loop, compare 33 with 35. Again, 33 is already less than 35, there is no change. Now you can see that at the end of the 4 iterations, your data has got sorted. It has got sorted in ascending order. Okay. So now you can see that. Okay. Can you observe something here? In each step, okay, in each iteration, at the end of each iteration, now consider the first iteration, okay, outer loop iteration. At the end of this iteration, the largest number, which is 35, in this array, the largest number is 35. That gets sorted at the end of that iteration. Okay. At the end of the second iteration, the second largest number gets sorted. It reaches its proper place. At the end of the third iteration, 27 reaches its proper place. Okay. So basically, this the person who discovered this called this as the values are bubbling to the proper place at the end of the iteration. Therefore, the name of this was known as bubble sort. Okay. So basically, at the end of the iteration, he said that the if you're sorting in ascending order, the largest value bubbles to the proper place. Okay, 35's proper place is at the last. So he was calling it as bubbling. Okay, bubbles to the proper place. Therefore, he gave the name as bubble sort. Okay, so did you all get this? If you have any questions, you can let me know. Anyone has any questions for me? Did you all understand? Yes, no? Let me know quickly. Did you all get it? Okay. Then the most important thing is you have to refer the textbook and learn the program. Okay, and explain you the concept. Now you can see here. Okay, there's one more thing here in this code that I have taken. The this condition here has been made more efficient. Okay, here you can see the code has been written n minus 1. Okay, n minus 1. Therefore we are getting 4 outer loop iterations. Okay, 1 2 3 4, because it is n minus 1, 5 elements, so n minus 1 is 4. Okay, so if n is 5, so here you can see it is n minus I minus 1. Okay, it is not n minus 1. Why is it something like this? Okay, it has been made more efficient. You can see here, okay, that there are some values like here at the end of this iteration 33 35, they are already in the proper place. Okay, 33 will always be in the second last position, 35 will be always in the last position, but we keep on comparing everywhere 33 with 35. In iteration 3 we compare, in iteration 2 we compare, in iteration 4 we compare. Okay, there's no need to compare. Once these elements have reached the proper place, okay, we're wasting time by just doing these comparisons of the sorted elements which are already sorted. So someone came up with a improved version of bubble sort. Okay, so sometimes in the exams they ask you, okay, they ask you to explain bubble sort. So to explain bubble sort, you will take one example like this that I have taken like this, and you will explain the original bubble sort. Okay, that is the way the original bubble sort was written. Then they will ask you how it can be made more efficient. Okay, so by more efficient, what it means, you don't want to compare the elements which are already sorted. Okay, only if the first time you want the elements to reach the proper place. In the subsequent iterations, you do want to compare these elements which are already sorted. Okay, so to stop that, you do something like this. Okay, you can trace the program, you can trace this code on this example, and you can check how it works. Okay, I'm not going to do that, you can try it on your own. So let me go to the next sorting algorithm known as insertion sort. Okay, insertion. So it is insertion sort. Okay, so consider this as the initial array. Okay, so you're going to have, if there are 6 elements, you're going to have n minus 1 iterations before the array gets sorted. Okay, before I teach you insertion sort, students, if I want to sort this same array using bubble sort, okay, in descending order, what change I'll have to make? What change I'll have to make? I taught you how to do bubble sort in ascending order. I can do the same. I can apply bubble sort to get it in descending order. What change I'll have to make while doing this algorithm? Can anyone tell me? What's the change that I'll have to do? Descending order means what? The largest value comes first and the smallest value comes last in the output. Okay. My descending order means 35 would have come here in the first position, then 33, then 27, then 14, and last 10. So if I wanted in descending order, what change will have to be done so that I get in descending order? Can anyone tell me? Yes, correct. Change the condition for the swap. So now what we are doing, we are checking whether the first number is less than the second number. Okay, we are checking whether the first number is less than the swap second number. Sorry, we are checking, yes, and we are checking greater. Sorry, we are checking whether the first number is greater than the second number. If that is the case, then we are swapping. Okay, so there we have to just change the condition. Okay, change the condition from that, and you will be able to get it in descending order. Okay, just the if condition that is there, that you need to change. Okay, so if you just change the if condition, then you will get the bubble sort in this if condition I'm telling. Okay, here we are having if the first value is greater than the second value. If I just change this condition here, okay, from greater than sign I change it to less than sign, I will get the output in descending order. Okay, now when you are doing this, you will have to change this. Okay, this will obviously be different. Okay, so for homework you can sort this array in descending order. You will get the same number of iterations. Okay, output will be different. You will get 35, 33, 27, 14, 10. So for homework you can practice to do bubble sort in descending order. Okay, please try. Okay, so coming to insertion sort, the second method for sorting. Okay, now all the sorting algorithms can sort the data in ascending as well as descending. Okay, please remember that. So if I teach you one type, you have to just change the condition to the opposite type and you will get descending. Okay, so for insertion sort, if you are given n elements, you will require n minus 1 iterations to get the sorted data. Okay, so how does it work? You start by comparing the first two elements. Okay, so if I want data in ascending order, then you will swap similar to how I taught you the bubble sort. So if the first value is greater than the second value, you will swap if you want it in ascending order. If you want in descending order, then you will check that the first value is less than the second value and you will swap. Okay, just the opposite. So, or the second value is second value is greater than the first value and you will swap, something like that. Okay, so here now I want in ascending order, so I will check for the first two values. Okay, so if the first value is greater than the second value, I will swap. Okay, so basically what I will do is I will insert 2 into the proper position. Okay, for the second iteration I compare the first three values. Okay, I compare all the first three values. So I will check now which is the new value, 4. I will compare with previous two values, 2 and 5, and I will insert 4 into the proper place. So 4 will come in between 2 and 5. In the next iteration, I will compare 4 values. So every iteration, I'm increasing the number of elements by 1. So first I started with 2 elements, then I went to 3 elements, now I'm having 4 elements. I'll compare this new element 6 and I will find its proper place, okay, among all these elements. So I compare 6 with 2, 4 and 5. The proper place will for 6 is here only in the 4th position. So I insert 6 there only, means it remains unchanged basically. Okay. In the next iteration, I compare 5. Now in that I get the new element is 1. So I compare 1 with all the previous 4 elements and I find the proper place for 1. So the proper place for 1 is here. That is the first position. So accordingly I shift all the remaining elements. So I will get 1 here and this will be the proper sorted value. In the next iteration, I take 6 values. The new element is 3. So I find the proper place for it and I insert it there. So the proper place for 3 is in between 2 and 4. So I insert 3 there. So this is how insertion sort works. Okay. So basically this is how it works. So this is something that you have already done in your lives if you have been playing cards. Okay. If you have been playing cards, okay, and someone is giving you card. So you pick up the first card and you keep it in your hand. Then you pick up the second card. Okay. Then when you get the third card, you compare. Okay. And then accordingly you position them in the proper place. Fourth card and so on. So that is what is insertion sort. Actually, you have been doing insertion sort. As you were getting each card, you are picking up that card and you were placing it in the proper place. Okay. In some ascending order, descending order, or according to the colors. Okay, you were doing some kind of sorting. So that kind of sorting was actually what you were doing was insertion sort. So here, does anyone have any questions for insertion sort? Does anyone have any doubts? Can you let me know if you have understood? You want me to explain it again? Rudra, Sanjana, Sejal, Vadiraj, Ashraf, did you all get it? Ved, Yadnya, Aaron, Chinmay, Algan, Clancy, Gauravi, Idwal, Hitender, Isaiah. Got it? Okay. So please, in the exams, the common question that can come for you is, you need to take one example like this and explain the working of insertion sort or bubble sort. Or the second question that can be asked is, write a program. Okay. So all these programs are based on just simple for loops, arrays, and if else. You need to be able to write them. Okay, based on the concept that I've just taught you. All the programs are also there in your textbook if you want to refer them. Okay, so these were the first two sorting algorithms. Okay, the next one that you will study is known as selection sort. So basically this is the way selection sort works. Okay, so you can just read this. I will explain to you. So basically in pass 1, the smallest element is searched between the array index A0 and array index AN-1, and then the swapping is done with A0. Then in pass 2, element will be searched between array index A1 and array index AN-1, and swapping will be done with array index A1. So similarly all the passes will be happening. Okay, so if you have not understood what is this, don't worry, I will explain with an example what this means. Okay, then you can come back and read this. So consider this array. Okay, an array say A having 5 elements. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 1 and 2, and let's say we want to sort it in ascending order using selection sort. Okay, so just like your insertion sort, if you are having to do sorting using selection sort, if you are having n elements, the sorting will be done in n-1 iterations or n-1 passes. Okay, so let's start. Suppose this is your input. Then to do that, okay, to do sorting, we will be finding something known as a search area. Okay, now this is just done by me for you to understand. Okay, there's in standard in textbooks and all, I don't know if they mention this search area and all. Okay, so you take the input, and initially the entire array will be the search area. Okay, so in this search area you're going to find the smallest element. So you can see in this search area the smallest element is 1. Okay, so you mark that. You mark 1, the smallest element. Okay, and the first value in the search area will be known as swap position. Okay, first value in the search area is the swap position. So once you mark these two values, swap position and smallest element, your next step is to exchange these two values. You will exchange 1 with 5. Okay, remaining values you will write as it is. So after swapping, it will look something like this. You will swap 1 with 5. Remaining 4, 3 and 2 you will write as it is. So this is your first iteration or the first pass. Okay, so now take this output as the input for the next iteration. Okay, this whatever you have got the output here, take it as the input for the next iteration. So this was the original array. This is the output of the first iteration or the first pass. Okay, now your search area will decrease by 1 element. Okay, so initially you started searching the entire array. Now 1 is already in its proper position. Okay, so you need not include 1 in the search area. So you decrease the search area now. So now your search area will be only so much. Okay, you start from array index 1 and you go till the last. Now your search area is become smaller. So within this search area, now you find the smallest element. Okay, so the smallest element is 2, and the first value of the search area is your swap position. Always the first value of the search area will be a swap position. Mark both of them. So the first value in the search area is the swap position. Mark the smallest value in the search area. Okay, then swap them. Okay, so you'll swap 2 with 4. It will look something like this. Now take this output for the third iteration. Okay, so this is the third iteration. So this is the input which we had obtained in the second iteration as the output. Again, mark the search area first. So again, 1 and 2 are in the proper place. So decrease your search area. So this is your search area. Mark your swap position. Swap position is always the first value of your search area. The 3 is the first value. So mark that. That is your swap position. Find the smallest value within the search area. So again, the smallest value is also 3. Okay. So if you are told to swap, obviously nothing will change. You are going to swap 3 with 3. So nothing will change. So we'll get 1, 2, 3, 5 and 4. Okay. So this process will continue now. Okay. So take this output of this iteration as the input for the next iteration. Okay. Decrease the search area. Every pass or every iteration you need to remember to decrease the search area. Okay. Mark the swap position. So first value is your swap position. Find the smallest value in this array, in this search area, sorry, in the search area. So smallest value, mark it 4 and swap both this, swap position and the smallest. After swapping, you get the sorted array in ascending order. So like I told you at the beginning, we needed 4 passes or 4 iterations since there were 5 elements. So if there are n elements, you require n minus 1 iterations. So this is how selection sort works. Okay. So if you wanted to do the same thing using, you wanted to get in descending order, what is the change you would have to make in your, what change you would have to make, students, if I wanted to do selection sort in descending order? Instead of smallest element, what you would be finding? Yes, correct. You would be finding the maximum in the search area and you would be swapping. Okay, like Rafat and Jaden have told you. So here for descending or ascending order, I'm finding smallest value. Okay, if you wanted descending, you would have found the maximum value, largest value, and you would have been doing the same process. Okay, remember, like I shown you from in this, every time you're doing the iteration, the search area has to decrease. Okay, if you don't decrease the search area every time, then you will be in problem. Your selection sorting will not happen. Okay, so remember that. Okay, methods are simple, but you need to remember them. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can let me know. Otherwise, I will continue to the next sorting algorithm. So the next sorting algorithm is known as radix sort. Okay, radix sort. So these are taken directly from your textbook. So you're given us a list of numbers. Okay, so a lot of numbers are given: 62, 234, 456, 750, and so on. Okay, so many numbers are given, around 15 to 20 numbers. So what you need to do is, radix sort is based on sorting on based on the you have learned something on when you are learning numbers. Okay, let me just tell you here. Say you are learning this. Okay, you have learned that this number is in the units place. Okay, this number is in the tens place, this number is in the hundreds place, and so on. Okay, So radix sort is based on taking advantage of this fact. Okay, uniques, units, tens, hundreds, and so on. Okay, so it takes advantage of that and tries to do sorting. Okay, so for that, to do that sorting, we are using basically queue. Okay, basically queues are used, and not just one or two queues. So these are queues that you have studied, okay, in data structures, those queues. So we are using for each digit. Okay, we are having from 0 to 9 we are having 10 digits. Okay, so for each digit we maintain one queue. Okay, so you can see here I've written all the queues from 0 to 9. Okay, these are all the digits that we can have in numbers from 0 to 9. Okay, so the first time, okay, take this input and you start sorting based on the units place. Okay, in the first iteration you start sorting on the units place. Okay, so you look at this units place, it is ending in 2, so therefore you will place 62, okay, in the queue for digit 2. Next number units place is 4, 234. So you will put 234 in the queue for digit 4. So 234 is put here. So like that you need to do for each and every number. Okay. So 456 units place is 6. So you will write 456 here. Okay. 750 units place is 0. So 750 is put here. So like that you need to keep doing. So there is 10 here. Okay, say like that you keep doing. Okay, I think you are understood. Okay, so suppose you get 10 here. Okay, units place is 0. So already 750 is put there, so you put a comma and you write here 10. So if you find two or more numbers which have the same units place, you just put a comma and write all the numbers correctly. So for units place, this is the queue. So make sure that the numbers are written in the proper queue for that unit. Okay. After you have written all the input that has been given to you in this form, okay, then what you will do is to get the output of the first iteration, you start writing the numbers from here. So you start from 750, write it down. So you write all the numbers in the first queue. Okay, 750 and 10. Next queue 21. Next queue 62, 372. Okay, so all these numbers you just need to write down here in the same order that you found here. Okay, here. So just make sure that these numbers come as the output here. Okay, and for the second pass, whatever you are writing here as the output, these numbers will be taken as the input for the second pass. Okay, so this is the output of doing the sorting according to the units place. Okay, so in the next iteration, take this as the input, this entire list. Okay, so the second pass, this is the output of the first. This is not the original. Okay, I'm repeating myself. This is not the original number order. This is the output of the first iteration. Again, you are having the same queue. Okay, from 0 till 9. Okay, now we are going to sort according to the tens digit. Tens. So you look at this middle number. Okay, so it is 5. So therefore you will put 750 in the queue for digit 5. Okay, look at the middle place, it is 1. Okay, so 10 will come in the queue for 1. 21 is 2. Okay, tens place is 2. 62, tens place is 6. 372, tens place is 7. Now for this 3. Okay, where's the tens place? Is there tens place? Yes, you can put 1 0 here. Okay, so what's the tens place? 0. So therefore 3 will be placed in the queue for digit 0. Okay, So remember, even if you are not having a, if you put a leading zero, it makes no difference. If you put a zero here, okay. If you are given tree like this, you can always put a zero here. If you are having tree like this, if you put zero here, it changes the meaning of the number. But if you put a zero before that, it does not change the meaning of the number. No, you all know that. So you find out the tens place of the numbers like that. Okay, remember, this is very important. So similarly, you need to do for all the remaining numbers. Okay, put them in the proper queue according to the tens place. Now we are finding according to the tens digit. The sorting in the second pass is done according to the tens digit. Okay, so again you will get, after you have done everything, you will get something like this. So the output will be again derived from here. Start by copying all these numbers 3, 5, 6. Then you will copy 10. Okay. Then 21 and 23. Then 234. And same. Go in the proper order here and start copying these numbers in the output. You will get 345. Then you will get 750, 153, 456, 62, 65, 372. 983,789, 98, 99. So as you can see here, you have not got the numbers in sorted order. Okay, so you need to go for the third pass. So you will take this output and you will give it as the input for the third pass. Okay, the output of second pass will be the input for the third pass. So go to the third pass. So this is the output of the second pass, input for the third pass. Okay. So now you are going to sort according to the hundreds digit. Okay, hundreds digit. And if you have learnt in your subject logic design, then if there are just three numbers, then this is known as your most significant digit or most significant bit. There you must have learnt as MSB. Here it is MSD, most significant digit or least significant digit. Okay, so hundreds digit, most significant digit. So now again you are going to have queues for each digit from 0 to 9. Okay, and you start sorting according to the hundreds. You can see here this is not having hundreds, so you add two zeros. Okay, two zeros, 0, 0, 3. So hundreds means this will be put in the, while writing here you just put one digit. Okay, do not need to write 0, 0, 3 here, just write 3. Okay, similarly 5, 6 will come here. Okay, 10, 21, 23 also will come here. Okay, so then 234 will come here because hundreds digit is 2, it will come in the queue for 2. 345 will come here. Okay, hundreds digit is 3, so it will come in the queue for 3, and so on. Okay, continue like that, continue like that. So the end of that, when you have finished writing down all the numbers in the proper queue, okay, you will get the output similar to your second pass and the first pass. Copy all these numbers from the queue 0 first. So you will copy all the numbers from the queue 0, then copy from queue 1, then copy from Q2, and so on. Okay, so start copying all these numbers in the output. After you have done that, you can see that now your numbers are in sorted order. Therefore, you will write the, again you need to write the numbers that the sorted list is this. Okay, you need to write it. Don't leave only at this step. You need to write the output in the sorted order. Okay, so this is how radix sort works. So one of the most common questions that students ask me is, we started in the first pass with units place. Okay, units place. Then we went in the second pass to tens place. Then we went to the hundreds place. So one of the most common questions is, can we start with the hundreds place first, then go to the tens place, then go to the units place? Is both of this possible? Normally it is possible. Okay, you can do it, but most of the textbooks, and the textbook that we are referring is following this. Okay, so we are going to solve using this method only, wherein we are going to units place, then tens place, and the hundreds place. Okay, we're not going to start from here. Okay. So students, do you all have any questions?